Good afternoon, YouTube. On this beautiful sunny day in January, I'm going to show you some things about the center brake light on an R129 Mercedes. Your center brake light might be out on your car, but it might not actually be the light itself. There's a common issue in the trunk with the wiring that actually might be the problem. So you're going to want to start there first. And these are also LEDs. It's a strip of 6 LEDs, so it's uncommon that this might have actually burnt out on your car. If it did, this video isn't going to apply to you. But I'm going to show you my fix and what I did to repair my dim and failing brake light, which ultimately didn't light up anymore at all. So you're going to open your trunk and you're going to see this little wire sleeve right here. This is where the brake occurs. And I will show you a nice in-trunk view of how it happens. Take a look at how these wires bend. So you'll see right here, these 2 points are actually the stress points for the wires. And this is how it comes from the factory. Over time, opening and closing the trunk ends up breaking these wires that are in there. So you can repair them yourself. And all you're going to need is some wire, some shrink tubing, and a soldering iron. Not pictured. Just like the previous owner tried to tape up the problem, and it didn't quite work. Because, well, it stopped working. So the solution I'm showing you guys is a more permanent one. Ultimately, the best solution would be to redesign the rubber cover. I know some people who completely did away with it, just had the wires free float, and that may be a better idea for you, but I know I definitely get things caught on it. So you could re-engineer it if you want, but this is a quick and easy fix that'll last a long time. So all you have to do to start is pop this little rubber piece out, and you can take a look at your wires. Now mine are already done. I redid it, and I will show you how I did it in a minute. Now to do this, you are unfortunately going to have to undo some plastic trim clips, okay, up along the trunk liner, and that is a pain in the ass because you can break them. So just be careful. The first order of business is removing this, which is easier than it looks. So just get your Phillips head screwdriver, pry down on this part, and it comes out. Remember the orientation. And then this whole thing will pop out. Easy as pie. And there is a plastic trim clip right here. And there is another one further down over here. As long as you get them out, you'll be good. Now this one's tricky, so I'm going to show you how to do it. So this flange doesn't really mean much. There's a little grommet in the back connected to the metal. Pop that out. And it should be met with a little resistance, but don't pull too hard because you can break your wires. There you go, see, it just popped out. So now you have complete and open access to the wires in here. Ultimately, here's what I did. I'm not going to cut them for you today because I already did the repair. So I spliced in some thicker wire between the wire up in the trunk and the wire down here. And I gave it a little extra, I added a little extra length than I took out as a precaution. And all you're going to have to do is slip some shrink tube around it, right? Twist your wires together, solder it, put the shrink tube on, heat it with a lighter and shrink it, or a heat gun if you have that. I don't have one. And just put everything back in the reverse order once you're done. So you're going to want to feed your wires through, slide them up there so that the spliced ends are safe in the trunk, away from where you're going to put the grommet back. It's tough to get back in. You could use some silicone grease, but that makes an awful mess. So it's best to slide the flange over the metal and do that in a spot that you can't really access with your hands to push it in. So I'm going to slide it in up here and then push from the other side you have access to, and it should go right back in. There's nothing more satisfying than that, to be honest. So I'm going to put our trim back very carefully. Watch, mind your wires. Oops. How did I screw this up? The trim's a little flexible, so you're gonna have leeway for error. And just like that, it's back in. So you're going to want to feed your wires back through and make sure the soldered bits aren't at the bend. You don't want to bend on what you soldered, so it's okay if they're right here, but if they're here, you're going to have a problem. So we're going to stuff these back in. Voila. Repair almost complete. Don't forget your plastic trim clips. You got to put them all back. And don't forget your other trim pieces. And this one won't pop in as hard as the other pieces, so once it's seated firmly, that's when it's in. Just kidding, the repair's not done yet. Don't forget about this little plastic trim clip down here. Alright, now we're all set. A job well done.